Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for the OPTC video, and in today's video we're diving back into the treasure map versus Jewelry Bonney for the super evolution of 5+ Jinbe with my speed boosted teams that I'll be using for this particular treasure map. Now, moving forward, I think I'll most likely be doing 3 multis on each treasure map banner. That way I can kind of pick up one of the treasure map boosters. As for the end of month banners, I really want to try and stay away from them, but with the way banners are structured nowadays, these units don't really come back. So, look, I might do some multis here and there, but I'll try not to and save my gems for stuff like treasure map banners and then the big celebrations of half annies, anniversary celebrations, as well as the big actual anniversary and New Year's every single year. But let's take a look at Jinbe. I did a shorts breaking down what this guy actually does. He's quite lackluster, honestly, compared to some of the other 5+s we have. If I look at something like what the Luffy does, if I'm looking at like the dual whitebeards and the strength and the quick one, this particular Jinbe, he's not all that. But look, keep 2 copies. Make sure you have a 5-star and a 5+ for the boosted meta if you guys need more points. But as mentioned in today's video, we will be breaking down the teams that I'm going to be using for each mini-boss, as well as the final boss fights as well. Now, I don't have Robin, but the teams I will be using use a friend Captain Robin, and I won't be testing these teams right off rip. I will be using the buildable teams for the first playthrough video, so if you haven't done so already, belt the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any of the content, and belt the like button if any of these speed teams for the mini-bosses help you guys out. And honestly, let me know in the comment section below if you guys have any ideas or any ways to make this faster or better or anything like that. Let me know down below if I missed something too. So, kicking it off, we want to start it off with the first fight, which is against Chopper. Now, Chopper is the easiest of the fights. He's the first one where everyone gets all the good stuff. The free-to-play Luffy and the free-to-play Nami are actually recommended. Everyone gets all the good stuff as mentioned on Battle 3. There is 2 stacks of hunger. All orbs get turned into block orbs. 6 turns of damage reduction, 6 turns of thresholds, as well as the enemy having defense down. Immunity except for defense down. So they want you to use Luffy because Luffy can remove 6 turns of threshold. He can remove 6 turns of damage reduction. But so can Nami and Karina. Now, Nami and Karina are amazing because they dupe drops. As a captain, they have the ability to double the amount of belly as well as gain an extra piece of treasure from the quest. Now, when you actually use this character's swap as well, the super swap that is, it changes block orbs into G and then makes G orbs 2.25 for 3 turns. So this is a really, really good ability. You get base stats, and then with Nami and Karina, they each have different specials. So Nami's special can actually remove damage reduction, where Karina's special can actually remove threshold. One of them's an attack booster, one of them's an orb booster, and literally with the 2 specials, you're covered for everything. So all you need to do is just switch with one of them, give yourself a forward of G orbs, and then you can use the 2 specials to basically just kill on that stage. As for everything else, it's just basic point boosters. Brook is a very good double wave clearer. He has double special activation. He's a free-to-play character. At level limit break 5, he does 50,000 damage to all enemies. You can bink him twice, and then you're good to go for the final stage. As for the rest of the team, I literally just filled it out with characters that can either give me some sort of other buff, like Zoro Sanji, or some type of anti-characters like the Luffy and the Chopper. Now, Chopper, he's a batch unit, probably don't have him, but the Luffy, being a 1.35, if you're not using him here, you might be using him elsewhere. Moving on to the Brook fight now, this one is super easy if you have 6+ Ace, and you have the 5+ Whitebeard. Literally, the 2 of them together cover you for everything you need to worry about. Cerebrals, shooters, and strikers get all the good stuff, and on Battle 3, there's 5 turns of chain multiplier growth rate reduction. You get an attack down if you're below a 3.25 chain or less for 2 turns. 2 turns or 2 times damage for stun on your crewmates. You get a burn or a super burn, 2 turns of a slot barrier, which is a block orb, and full immunity. So, as you guys probably know, Ace is really, really good because as a captain, he can actually remove the chain coefficient reduction as well as the attack down if you're below a certain chain. So using him as a captain, you're just covered for that. Plus, with his special, he does damage to himself, so that way you can actually get around the stun. That works really, really nicely. And if you bring 2, you can actually use them as a wave clearer for stage 2. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at doing here, using Ace as a wave clearer on stage 2. But for stage 1, I'm going to be using this treasure map Lucci. Thanks to my homie Captain Papi. He mentioned that there's 50,000 of the character's attack in non-type damage to all enemies, and because this unit is a cerebral character, you get cooldowns, so you can just blast your way through that. With Ace, you are then going to wave clear turn 2, get the carryover of the conditional boost that goes through full immunity, and on the final stage, you are going to have that available to you. To get around the stun with my team, I'm not looking at using the Ace special. I'm actually just using a support on Yamato, being the I can't remember this guy's name. What's his name? Shimatsuki or Ushimaru. He gives me an orb boost on the final stage, plus he cuts your HP by 20% on any Yamato character. So the big upside here is that I'm just getting a 1.75 times orb boost, and then not having to worry about utilizing the Ace special. With the Whitebeard special, you get around the burn, you get around the, what's it called, the barrier, plus you get additional damage taken, you get a chain boundary, and if you really want to, you can pop Yamato. That's going to give you a color affinity boost, increase it because you already have the increased damage taken from Whitebeard. Because you're below 10% HP, you are going to apply that through full immunity too, which is really, really nice. On to the Franky and Ussop fight now. The recommended characters are the 5+ Alba and 6+ Kaido. Again, if you have these two characters, you're basically covered for the entire piece of content. It's actually nuts. Driven Powerhouse Strikers get all the good stuff. And on the final stage, there's normal attacks only. All orbs get turned to unfavorable. 6 turns of damage reduction, 6 turns of threshold. Full immunity except for increased damage taken. And then on defeat, the enemy will self-heal to 10%, do 20,000 damage, put up a barrier for a Wano slot, and then give your crew 1 turn of silence. Now, I believe this silence is that, like, crewmates can't literally do anything. Like, they can't do anything at all. But the main goal here is to use Alba, so that way you can get around the damage reduction and 3 turns of the threshold. Use the super type of Kaido, and that way you get around the other 3. Using the Kaido special, you're going to apply increased damage taken, and then because you take a 20,000 death hit, you are going to then reapply the auto trigger of the Kaido special. This is going to kill for quite a while as well. You can chuck on some burn supports, or you can do some funky stuff there if you really want to. Maybe like a Luffy and an Ace support, or you could run like a Big Mom on the team if you are doing really, really high nav levels. But I am just using the super type and the special of the other Kaido to just wave clear. I have Roger and Odin here for an attack boost and an orb boost for my slashes. The whole team's actually slash centric except for Kaido himself, so that works out really, really nicely. Plus, Whitebeard's a chain boundary, you apply resistance with Toki, and it all works out pretty hunky-dory there. Again, you're pretty much only going to need Alba, the super type, and the special of Kaido for a very, very long time. If you are looking at ranking very high, you're going to want to change the team up, but look, for what I'm doing, this is going to work nicely. Something to note for my team, though, is I am using the Whitebeard ship, the Moby Dick, to cut my HP by 50% at the start of the quest. That just automatically gives me access to the super type. Moving on to probably the most annoying of all of the mini-boss fights, and if you guys don't have Bonney, Chopper, Franky Ussop, this fight does seem very, very challenging. However, there is a very, very good legend in the game that most people actually have that makes this very, very easy. Int, Psi, and Strength characters get all the good stuff. On stage 3, there's 6 turns of paralysis, normal attacks only. You get all orbs turned to block orbs. Crewmates get binded for 6 turns after socket. 1 turn of tap timing is becoming easier for perfects. Nullified damage for 1 turn, and then a good barrier for 2 goods. The enemy has full immunity for everything except for the new weakness debuff and increased damage taken. And then on death, you take 100,000 damage. Well, as mentioned, if you guys don't have the batch to remove all these nasty effects, Gear 5 Luffy is your man. Like, he just works so well for this content. And you can run 2 of them, so that way you get the revive to get around the death hit. But with Luffy as a captain, you can go through defensive effects as long as you have 3 Straw Hats on the crew. So that way you can actually go into the Gear 5 form on the final stage, utilizing this EX Super. The EX Super is nothing that we really want, besides going through the barrier, the damage null. Plus, as a captain, he gets around the bind as well, so he works really, really nicely. With that, if you can build the rest of the team out with free spirits, you're pretty much hunky-dory. But there is another very good character that works exceptionally here, that is Shanks. Now, Shanks is a paralysis remover, but on top of that, if you have 4 int characters, he's going to be an int, attack booster, chain booster, and base stat booster. He also rotates those block orbs as mentioned, and you're pretty much good to go with the paralysis removal as well. So the character is fantastic for this fight. If you just run 3 other Straw Hats on the team, primarily in characters, you are going to be in for a really good time. The characters I'm using is the Rare Recruit Robin. This particular Robin does 5,000 fixed damage. However, she sets your HP to 1. That's not a big problem though, like I'm not worried about that because we're going to take 100,000 and die anyway. But we're basically just going to use her on turn 1, set your HP to 1, and then does 5,000 fixed damage to all enemies, which is super hunky-dory. The next character we have is Treasure Map Nami. She does 20,000 damage, the Halloween Nami. 20,000 damage to, 200,000 damage to all enemies. She's a very good unit for wave clearing. Plus, 2 of them are Straw Hats, and you're pretty much fine to go there. The final unit I've put on Ussop and Franky because I have them. You can use the Treasure Map Sanji, though, if you really want to. He's going to work absolutely fine. And honestly, with this team, the EX and the Shank special, it should be enough to cover you for a very, very long time. Moving on to the final fights now, we are going up against Jewelry Bonney first. Jewelry Bonney had some pretty annoying shenanigans. Obviously, the 3 Treasure Map boosters, Lilith, and the new 5-star Jinbe is really, really good for both these fights. And I really like that the 5-star Jinbe is fantastic for these fights. It's a really, really nice touch. Inside, Dex characters get all the good stuff, and on turn 1, you get 5 turns of Insta Orbs being beneficial, which is kind of nice. On stage 2, you get 6 turns of attack down, 1 turn of special reverse. As an intimidation, if you set the chain multiplier, 5 turns of defense down, 2 turns slot int barrier for 1 turn, like 1 int orb, and then normal attacks only. On defeat, there's a retreat and a full revive for the final stage, which you have to deal with 9 turns of despair after sockets, which is crazy. All orbs get turned to block. There is a chain multiplier growth rate reduction. If you're below a 2.2 chain boundary, you get a 90% attack down. Full immunity except for enemies defense down. There is an intimidation for orb boost for 1 turn, and then you get an attack boost of 1.1. Very annoying. 6 turns of defense up as well for 1 million or 10 million, I believe. And if you use a chain multiplier, like a chain boundary, you're going to lose all your beneficial effects and take 5 turns of slot bind. So as you can see, there's a lot going on here for this fight. But if you did pull the Treasure Map Rare Recruits, you're going to be in for a good time. Now remember, I did put out a buildable teams video for you guys, so if you need to build those teams, go for gold. I believe those teams should work actually fairly nicely, and like I said, I will be doing a playthrough for them. But the team that I'm going to be using looks like this. I am using Lilith as my captain, and then I'm running the 5-star Jinbe. This Jinbe, he just works perfectly for the stage 2. He removes 5 turns of attack down, 5 turns of defense up. He gives you int orbs on the left-hand column, and then if you have a Luffy on the crew or as a support, you get tandem orbs on the other side. So if you are using a team like this, or you're not using a Luffy on the crew, all you literally have to do is put any Luffy at all on the character, and you're going to get the most out of him, which is really, really nice. As for the rest of the attack down, I'm actually using the ship, which is the Tesoro ship. Now, the Tesoro ship will remove 1 turn of attack down, but there are a lot of supports you guys can use, like Chopper support on Sanji, and I can't remember who else does that. But look, Lilith also removes attack down as well, so you could possibly use her special there if you really want to. But you do have to get around special reverse, and that's where this Nami actually comes into play. She has special reverse built in. As you can see, I am down bad on limit break materials, but she's going to give me 1 turn of special charge, and then she changes all orbs to recovery. So make sure that you are utilizing her before you are using what's it called? Make sure you're using her before you're using Jinbe. If you don't have an orb boost, which you won't, she's going to actually give you a 2 times orb boost for 3 turns. So that should cover you fairly nicely. And just make sure, like I said, make sure to just use Jinbe before you use this particular Nami. On the final stage, we have to get around some despair, which is super annoying. Remember, I am using a Robin friend captain for this particular team. We have to get around a bunch of despair, but that's what Lilith and Robert are really, really good for. We do have to deal with block orbs. The block orb manipulation is actually kind of annoying. And then you have chain multiplier growth rate. You have to be above a certain chain, and there's an intimidation to an orb boost. So having the carryover of the Nami orb boost is really, really good. But ideally, you'd want to have Lilith. But with Lilith, you can actually reduce your attack boost by 1 time. So that 1.1 would literally just become a 1 times attack boost. And then you can stack on another attack boost with her crazy special. She's going to remove 6 turns of despair, which is really, really nice. And then with the friend captain, what's her name? The friend captain Robin, you're going to remove the rest of the despair. She's going to increase Nami's orb boost to 2.5, which is awesome. And then with Sanji, you can actually give yourself an attack boost. Now, if you have a chain multiplier growth rate or alternating effect when the special is launched, you're going to get a 2.5 times attack boost and further increases the rate altering effect by 0.1. Now, I do believe this actually works on a chain multiplier growth rate that is negative. Now, he does remove it, But I think the way this works is that if you have a chain altering effect and he registers the bad one, he removes it and then he gives you the 2.5 times attack boost, which is really, really cool. But with Robin, you can... oh, actually, no. So the chain altering effect is the effect that Robin gives you. Never mind. I take that back. So Robin's tap timing buff is the chain altering effect. He's going to increase it by 0.1, so you use Robin first. She sets defense to 0 as well, which is great for the final stage. And then you're pretty much off to the races there. The final unit we have is Bonney. Yes, I did some multis on Bonney's banner. I'm not proud of it, and I don't really want to talk about it. But look, I got her. It took me 3 multis. I was very, very happy. She's a very, very, very good unit. And she's going to be the weakening effect, which is awesome. She also gives resistance and stuff like that. Unfortunately, she's not going to be my captain. But hey, look, I believe I could probably just make her captain, if I'm being completely honest. I can't use the Lilith super type, so like, what's the point anyway? I don't need to get around resilience and whatever anyway. So if I do something like this, I can use the... what's it called? I can use the super type to get around the block orbs that way too. So Bonney's incredible. Everyone was raving about Lilith when she first came out, but for me, like, Bonney just seems very, very good. With that, I think I'm pretty much covered. I might chuck on some supports here and there to make things a little bit nicer, but that's pretty much what my team looks like. As for the final stage, it's basically looking the exact same now. Against Lilith, we have to deal with a bunch of very annoying stuff, but Bonney is boosted rather than Lilith, always recommended. However, Lilith does work exceptionally here too. Psi, Int, and Strength characters get all the good stuff. You get a 50% HP cut on stage 2. There's 6 turns of paralysis. There's 3 stacks of hunger, which is just... why? Normal attacks only, all slots to unfavorable, and then 9 turns of your top row being binded. Super annoying. On the final stage, you have to deal with 10 turns of crewmate bind now. So that's why Bonney's captain is awesome. 5 turns of slot bind, 6 turns of resilience, 5 turns of attack down. There's a pain for 18k. Remember, after 50% HP, like, that's going to hurt. Pain for 18k. And then immunity to everything except defense down, boost damage taken, and the weakening effect. If you use an attack boost, remove your beneficial effects and the crewmate swap to captain. So just be very, very careful if you are using attack boost. But the idea here is to use Sanji on stage 2. He removes bind for your captains, and then you're going to give yourself the 3 turns of the attack boost because you don't have that Robin altering effect. Nami, she's going to remove the slot bind on the final stage. She's going to be your orb booster. If you already have an attack boost, she's going to be a bigger orb booster. You can then use Lilith once again to increase that, and Lilith gives you end of turn damage. Jinbe gives you resilience. He also removes the attack down, and then Bonney just does basically everything else. So it all works out pretty hunky-dory with this team. Very annoying fight if you don't have Batch, but if you do, it is nice, smooth sailing. But that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go down that bell, like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye!